Stan, this is for you. Kris became the first coach since your father to have gone to the Stanley Cup Final in his first 2 years as a head coach. Now, he never talks about his part of the team getting here, but just a thought on what you've observed and, the part that Kris has played and, the Oilers rebounding in the series against LA and then continuing on their journey to get here.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I was watching from afar last year, and I was impressed with Kris, just his knowledge of the game and the way he explained things. And then I got a chance to meet him when I got here, and I've been incredibly impressed with his job as the coach. I don't think he gets enough recognition for the way that he's managed this group through this season. It's been a challenging year at times with injuries, and Kris has been able to manage that group and keep things on track all year long. I think he's done a great job. I'm really impressed with the way that he handles our players as well as makes adjustments. I think we see the game the same way, and when we have conversations about our team, I would say most of the time we're aligned in that, and certainly that makes it easier. But you don't always agree on everything, but I think he's a really smart guy, so when we talk things through, he always comes up with a game plan to prepare our team. So I think we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the job that Kris and the whole staff has done. They've done a tremendous job this year. I've really enjoyed working with them, and can't wait to keep it going.
Left side, second row, Jason.
Kris, the second year, is it that much easier for you? You sit up here, you were here exactly almost a year ago. How much more confident are you and maybe more in control of the situation than you were the first time?
I don't know how much is different from last year, just the fact that we're more familiar with it. We know the routine, we know the opponent. There's a lot of unknowns last year. Now that we've been here, we're just a little more, I don't know what I would say, comfortable, but we just know what the routine is. Do we feel we're a bit stronger, a little more confident? Yeah, maybe, but we also know the other team's probably stronger than they were last year also. So, we're going to have to play our best to give ourselves an opportunity. But as for getting prepared, I think it's just we're just more familiar of what like today is and what the travel's like and what it's going to be like going back and forth. That's about it.
Right side, front row, Marty.
Hi, Kris. I'm just wondering, the Panthers play such a in-your-face, intimidating game. How do you counter that?
Well, we've got our share of players that like that physicality too. Certainly don't think we're shy from that play. Even last year, I think our team's made up a little bit different than it was last year. But probably the best way to counter that is just moving the puck well. The longer you hold on to it, the more time they get to get in and finish their checks. So I think it's important that we're moving it quickly, but also precisely. And, if you're just sloppy with the puck, then you're probably chasing the game for most of it. So, they're a lot of credit to them. They are a good forward-checking team. They finish their checks quite regularly. And, we expect to be hit. But we're not a team that shies away from that. Like, we've been played a lot of teams last year and this year throughout the playoffs that like that physicality, and our guys are pretty accepting of it.
Left side, third row, Jonathan.
Hello. Okay. Question for Kris. Can you qualify and talk about the work that Brett Kulak has done since the beginning of the playoffs, especially against the Stars and Mikko Rantanen?
Brett is a very smart hockey player, a guy that really elevates his game. And you go through our lineup, and it's nice to know that there's guys that play better in the playoffs. So, it's difficult. There's more. The game changes a little bit from the regular season to the playoffs, and Brett's a guy that's played better in the playoffs. And I heard it even before I got to the team, or when I joined the team before we were in playoffs last year, about how good of a playoff player he is. And the previous year, because of injuries or whatever happened, they had to rely on him a lot more. And last year, he was on that third pair, played probably 14 to 16 minutes, Then the playoffs rolled around, and it was a much bigger role. And this year, same thing. You know, he played quite a bit during the regular season, and then the playoffs, he continued that, especially with the absence of Matthias Ekholm, and we needed more from him, and he absolutely, and when I say more from him, he just was on the ice more and was able to play key minutes against key players like Rantanen and Kopitar, and not only that, but playing left side, right side, being very versatile. And I think a lot of that is because he is a smart player, he's competitive, but then also a tremendous skater. He's able to get around the ice very well, and you know that mobility has allowed him to check players, top players, whether they're physical or fast. Really helps him.
Right side, second row, Derek.
Hey, Stan. When you came in here, I just wanted to get your first impressions of Stuart Skinner, and did you feel like, I know the team struggled and he struggled with it, but I just wanted to know if there was at any point that you thought maybe we're going to have to go get someone else, or did he kind of change your mind, or just your thought on the way he kind of recovered throughout the season?
Yeah, I think Stewart, he has a good demeanor for a goalie. He's a pretty easygoing guy, and it's the toughest position in sports probably, with the attention that they get. And you know, you look up and down the lineup, everyone makes mistakes. You know, forwards do, defensemen do. When the goalie does, then everyone pays attention. A lot of times, you know, a forward will make a terrible play, and you don't even talk about it because it gets broken up by a defenseman or the goalie makes a save. So I think you have to have that ability to shrug things off, and he's a very even keel guy. So yeah, he's had some ups and downs. I think people focus probably more on the downs than the ups. He had a real good stretch there from, you know, I think our team started slow in October, but early November until probably mid-January, he played really well. Our team was on a roll, and then you see what he can do when he comes into the last couple of rounds here. Yeah, he started in LA, and our team wasn't very good, you know, the first couple games either. We didn't give him much help, and he wasn't on top of his game either, but he was able to shrug that off, and he came back in, and we wouldn't be here without him the way he's played. So, you know, I think it's a lot of the goaltending is the mentality, you know, because mistakes happen, goals are going to happen nearly every game, and the ability to deal with that adversity, I think, has been impressive.
Left side, second row, Mark.
Yeah, Stan, you had you watched some great players win their first cups in your years. You had Jonathan Toews, you had Patrick Kane. When you're a guy like Connor McDavid and you've lived 28 years for this moment, and then you get here last year and it doesn't work out, maybe you could just let us in on what do you think it means, and you know where does the Stanley Cup lie in Connor McDavid's kind of mission here?
Well, the first time I talked to Connor, I went to see him in the summer after I started, and all he talked about was, I just want to win the cup. That was it. We didn't talk about anything else. So his focus is, this is his singular focus. Like, he's accomplished everything he could accomplish individually in this sport. He continues to dazzle us, you know, every game, every round, makes a difference. Incredibly motivated and driven to win. Like, I can't think of, you run out of superlatives to talk about him as a player and describe what he does on the ice. I think the thing that's equally impressive is the way he is, you know, driving our team with his determination. And, you know, there's no one else you want to go to battle with than someone like that. He's our leader. Not only is he impressive with what he can do on the ice, but his focus in driving us. So you could see how bad he wanted it last year when it didn't go Edmonton's way in Game 7. And right now, he's on a mission. You know, I think as much as you get excited when you win, I think, you know, I've noticed it from even the first round, the second round, even in Dallas. He's still very focused on, we need 4 more wins.
Take a few more. Right side, second row, Pierre.
A question for Kris. You spoke earlier about the Panthers' forecheck and dealing with it, and obviously you saw it firsthand a year ago in the Cup final. But I'm wondering if there's another team that you played recently that helped you prepare for it? I'm thinking Vegas, maybe in the second round, their forecheck and how you guys dealt with that. But also Stan going out and getting guys like Wallman and Klingberg. You have a pretty mobile defense, and how important is that in trying to counterattack the Panthers' forecheck?
Yeah, very similar. I think Vegas is a very big, strong team. They rely on their forecheck, maybe a little more. A little more of a rush team than Florida is, but they were a good forechecking team also. My best way to beat that is good puck movers. And there's one thing about just having a defenseman to be able to just get it out of trouble and get it out of the zone. But if we're continually just getting it out of the zone, we're giving the puck back, and then we have to defend, and we're just defend. It's not a good recipe. And you think about the way our team has played, especially our defense. Defense has been great at moving the puck, and especially with the additions that we've had. And fortunately, we made some really good additions. Like Stan had the knowledge to know what we needed and possibility to have that depth come in at an important time in this season. And were we ever prepared to lose Ekholm? Or we didn't want to do that, obviously, but we were able to play really well as a group because of the addition of like Wallman and Klingberg, those two of them. Stetcher played incredibly well when we needed them. But I think going back to like just the additions that Stan added through the trade, free agency, of just not having a player that defends and just doesn't avoids trouble. We're able to get the puck in our hands because we feel our strength is obviously our McDavid, Leon. Our identity is just being a good puck moving team. And if you don't have the defenseman that can make those good plays and pass the puck up to the forwards, you're not a puck moving team. So I think it was great additions to have Klingberg and Wallman added to our team, which right now they've been doing a phenomenal job as a group. And now we've got just inserted Ekholm back into our lineup. It's been great. And we also have another couple guys that aren't playing right now with Stetcher and Emberson that we have a lot of confidence in if we needed them. But just to alleviate that pressure from the forecheck, it usually starts with the back end, and we feel very confident with our back end.
Two more, right side, front row, Stephen.
Kris, real quick, is Connor Brown good to go for tomorrow still?
He'll be a game time decision.
And Stan, Kris was just talking about that. Obviously, you weren't in this job last year, but I wonder how much you watched last year's final, and when you took over, kind of knew in terms of Wallman, Klingberg, what this team needed in terms of being better equipped for this moment, in terms of the moves you need to make this year.
Yeah, I did as a fan. I mean, Edmonton's always been such an exciting team to watch, and it was an incredible final last year, just from a pure hockey perspective. It was intense games. So I was watching it through a bit of a different lens probably. And then when I started, I think, I refer back to the month of October. We had a slow start. We weren't playing our best, which happens oftentimes. It's hard to get your best game when you were just in the Stanley Cup Final and a couple months earlier. So, but watching our team early there, I felt that was the one area we weren't as good as I thought we needed to be with helping our forwards out. I do think Kris just referenced it. Like, the strength of our team is we've got some really talented offensive forwards, and they do their best work when they have the puck in transition. And it reminded me a lot of we had our successful teams in Chicago, and I think similarly, they have great forwards there with Hossa and Kane and Taves, Sharp, on down the list. But I think the thing that really made that team go was Keith and Seabrook on the back end. Like, they probably never got the proper recognition for their role and even Johnny Oduya and Hjalmarsson. We had four defensemen that were all really good at not only defending but helping support the offensive side of it. And I felt we didn't have enough early on in the season, so that was sort of our goal. We still did a good job of winning games and but you look ahead to the playoffs and you think, if we want to be able to withstand really good teams for 4 rounds, you're going to have to support your forwards probably a little better than we were at the time, and that's what ended up working out, and so far it's worked well.